if you're prepared.
Actually, Chair Napoli, we have to wait.
Set up here. I just wanted to do a quick.
We were given 4 phone numbers for AMP Media by our city clerk's office. So we have left 4 voicemails. Also reaching out through the Google invite to those that accepted the invite from AMP Media to see if we can get in touch with them via email and via Google Chat. So we apologize for the inconvenience, and hopefully we can get a hold of them here shortly.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, we did get a quick update from AMP, just to let you all know. And we were told that Mario from AMP was supposed to be on the call and handling this. I do see a Mario in the corner of the screen, Mario 888-81000. Mario, is that you from AMP?
Did you try turning up the volume on your computer?
First thing. Just one more time, is that Mario on the call from AMP Media?
His audio is shut off. I can see the red with the cross. Mario, can you unmute yourself, or can you submit in chat that you're ready for us to proceed? If your mute button, you can't unmute for some reason.
I would maybe try a different browser. A different internet browser. Are you using an iPad or?
And just so you know, we talked to some senior staff at AMP, and they're trying to get a hold of Mario as well. And I left him a voicemail. So please bear with us, everybody, and hopefully we can connect and get this going.
Sarah, I hear Jennifer talking to somebody about a browser. So maybe he's having an issue with his browser. Well, while I have everybody online and we're waiting, just so everybody knows, we're going to be transferring to Zoom Gov in about a week and a half.
Oh, okay.
And great news, I think Jennifer is working to help someone get access to the meeting, but Mario is on the call. That is confirmed that that's Mario from AMP, and he is all good to start whenever we are ready. It is ready to be broadcasted.
Okay, very good, Steph. Thank you. We'll go ahead. It's 4:05 p.m. on 10/8/2020. We'll go ahead and begin the meeting and call it to order. Do we have any absences with the HPC members?
For this meeting, for this meeting, we'll go ahead and do roll call. I'll just go ahead and announce everybody's names. Obviously, we know you're here, but Chair Napoli for the record.
Yes.
Commissioner Cullum.
Yes, I'm here.
Commissioner Barlow.
Present?
Commissioner Dawson.
Present.
Commissioner O'Brien. Absent. Commissioner O'Neill.
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Crivello. Commissioner.
Jennifer may be working with Commissioner Crivello to get access. I do see another phone number in the corner, and it looks like she's been coming in and out with the meeting, so hopefully she'll be on in a second.
Okay, we will start with 5 commissioners in attendance and 2 absent right now, O'Brien and Smith-Crivello. And if Commissioner Smith-Crivello joins us, we'll make sure to verbally ask for her attendance, so we'll clarify when she joins the meeting. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. And it looks like with staff, we have Kimberly Cole, we have Fernanda, and also Sarah, I believe. And I don't see anybody else, but if there's somebody else from staff, please feel free to announce your presence.
Yeah. Christy Sabdo, Associate Planner here.
Hello, Christy.
Hi.
We'll go ahead and open up the item number 1. There was no field trip this week. Earlier in the week, on the consent items, go ahead and open it up for the review and the approval of the minutes. And I'd like to go ahead and see if any member of the commission or the public would like to discuss any of those items.
I would.
Okay, I believe that's Carol.
Correct. Okay, on the minutes, on packet page 5, up at the top, second paragraph, I'd like the minutes to reflect the following text. Commissioner Dawson questioned whether the proposed exterior alterations to the building were in compliance with the Secretary of the Interior standards. The SOI states that exterior alterations should be designed and constructed to be clearly differentiated from the historic building. Roof line, shingles, railing, windows on the addition all match the existing. There was no attempt made to differentiate. I would like to have that added.
Hi, Carol. This is Jennifer. Thanks so much
Hi.
for pointing that out. We can work on getting that changed before the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I should have called you in advance. I apologize.
No worries. I believe we need a vote for that, though. Or no. This is my first time that my minutes have been changed.
Sure, this is Kim with the City of Monterey Community Development. The commission should ultimately consider those changes, and if you agree to them, you can incorporate them as an amendment and have a motion and second to approve it with that amendment.
So Kimberly, we're to vote on minutes as they are and then do that as a separate motion?
No, the motion could include, the motion could be something, we approve the amendment, the minutes with the amendments suggested by Commissioner Dawson. And then there would need to be a second.
Yeah, this is Chairman Barlow. I'll go ahead and give it a shot. I will move to approve the minutes with the suggested amendments made by Commissioner Dawson.
This is Commissioner Collum. I will second that.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and vote. All that are in favor of the amended minutes.
The conference will automatically end in 5 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Don't listen to that, it's wrong.
Hopefully somebody's on that. We'll go ahead and vote on the minutes while we can.
Just hurry up.
Could we do a roll call vote, please? This is Chair Napoli. I'll vote aye.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do a quick roll call for everybody. So we got Chair Napoli as aye, Vice Chair Colum,
Aye.
Commissioner Barlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Aye.
Perfect. And then did I see Geraldine pop on the call? Commissioner Crivello? Oh, maybe Commissioner Crivello, are you muted?
I was previously on the phone with Geraldine for Commissioner Carvello, and she was having issues with her audio. It sounds like maybe they were not resolved.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go ahead and just do the vote with what we had so far. Thank you, everybody.
And Jennifer, I did have trouble with audio as well. She may try the 3 dots to the right bottom and call her cell phone, and that's how I linked in.
I just see that she joined again, so maybe that is what she tried. Geraldine, can you hear us? Geraldine, I see you just unmuted your microphone. Can you confirm if you can hear us? I will call her off air and see if I can help her work.
All right. If she can hear us, I'll just try the instructions one more time. To the bottom right of the screen, there's 3 dots, gray dots in a white section. If she clicks on that, it'll open up some options that she could say call her cell phone, and then she could link in on that. She still needs to have it unmuted on the meeting itself, but it'll allow her to get an audio link. Okay, we'll go on. We've approved the minutes. It sounds like they were accepted unanimously with the amendment. That's the end of the consent agenda. At this time, I'm not sure if we have any public on the call, but we can accept any public comments that we may have, and we'll leave this pretty casual if they want to come in later. But does the public have any comments on any items that are not on the agenda at this time?
There are currently no public comments, but I will take this time to announce the call-in number to provide public comments. It is 831-582-6500. You'll be muted upon entering into the call. Press *5, and that will signify that you're ready to comment, and it will then we'll unmute you when it's ready, when it's time. And again, there are currently no public callers. There is about a 10 to 30 second delay on YouTube. So there might be some coming in, but as of now, there are none.
Okay. Go ahead and go on to the item number 3. Considering 946 West Franklin Street, it's an application for a Mills Act contract.
Sorry. I just wanted to mention I'm got a potential conflict of interest being within 1,000 feet of the subject property, so I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and turn off my camera.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
I think Carol's
The
saying the
conference
same
will
thing.
automatically end in 30 seconds. You are now a host.
Oh.
Carol, you better get your comment in 30
Okay,
seconds.
I had exactly the same problem, my own property within the radius, the recusal radius, so I'm going to have to also recuse.
Okay. Kim, do we have enough commissioners remaining that we can act on this item?
So I'm just going to go through who I believe is on the phone: Chair Napoli, Vice Chair Cullum, and Carol O'Neill. So we have 3 voting members, and we started the meeting with a quorum, so we can proceed with this item. And we may get a 4th if Geraldine joins us.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Carol O'Neill, did you have a question? I saw you raise your hand. You're muted if you do have a question.
Yeah, no, I'm just noting that I'm still here and have no conflict.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I'll continue on with 946 West Franklin Street, the application for a Mills Act contract number MA 20-0204 in the H2 historic zoning TM-20-0206. The applicant owner is Laura Adam Fendwick, it appears, and that would be in the R-1-6 zoning district, and it's exempt from the CEQA per Article 19, Section 15305, Class 5. So at this time, does the staff have a presentation they would like to provide on that location?
Yes, thank you, Chair. My name is Fernanda Roveri. I'm a Senior Associate Planner with the City of Monterey, and I will give a presentation.
Thank you.
We also have Laura Fenwick here, and she will be able to make comments after my presentation. So thank you, Laura, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
So 946 West Franklin Street is a Mills Act and historic rezone request. The recommendation from staff is that the HPC adopt 2 resolutions, one of them being that they recommend that the Planning Commission recommends City Council adoption of the ordinance to rezone the property as a city historic resource. And the second resolution that the HPC recommend City Council approval of the Mills Act contract, which is the property tax savings program for historic resources. The subject property is on West Franklin Street. It's in the Old Town neighborhood, and it's shown on the screen. So an intensive survey prepared by architectural historian Ken Stevie was submitted, and this is required for rezone requests. The intensive survey reports that this house is called the Alvin Stahl House because Alvin Stahl was the first owner, and he was a mechanic in Monterey. This house qualifies as a local historic resource based on California Register Criterion 3, which is that the resource embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, region, or method of construction. And so this house would represent the architectural style of a craftsman bungalow. And this style was found in Monterey in the early 1920s. It's when the style became prevalent in this neighborhood. Some of the character-defining features of this style are the horizontal shiplap wood siding, as you can see on this photo, which is intact. The front gabled corner porch, which is on the left of the photo, and the overall low-pitched side gabled roof on the house. Also, the wide overhanging eaves are another character-defining feature of Craftsman Bungalow. And the exposed rafter tails and knee braces are also characteristic of this style. The wall brick chimney that you can see here, and the windows that emphasize the horizontal lines of the building. The property meets the eligibility requirements for the historic zoning and the Mills Act program, in that the property has been identified by the qualified architectural historian to be a significant local historic resource. And granting this contract will serve to offset the cost of maintaining the resource. Ms. Fenwick submitted a maintenance schedule which would keep the property in good repair, which is a requirement of the Mills Act contract. As a conclusion, staff recommends that the HPC adopt these resolutions that I mentioned earlier to recommend Planning Commission, recommend to City Council rezone of the property, and recommend City Council approval of the Mills Act contract. I can answer questions now, and the applicant is here also.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Fernanda. Does any of the commissioners have any questions of staff or the owner? Laura?
I do. This is Carol O'Neill.
Hey, Carol, go ahead.
I confess to not being able to read all of the in detail. I went back this afternoon to see if there was an addition on the back of this building. The outline looks like it's got quite a bit in the back, but it looks quite small in the front. So I'm wondering, is that all original? Was it added on to, when I went to the resource page, I couldn't find in there if it had been added on, probably because I was trying to read it too fast.
The report should note that the architectural review that there was an addition on the back of the house. It doesn't change the way it looks from the street at all.
Can you tell me when that was added?
I'm going to have to grab the report and look it up. It's been quite some time, but I have to look it up.
Well, okay. Is it an old edition, a fairly new edition? I'm not sure it matters ultimately to how we're going to vote. I'm just wondering.
Well, I know we didn't put it on, and I know the people that lived here before me didn't put, it was already here when they moved in.
All right. So
I'm pretty sure that Mr. Seavey has it in his report. I'd have to go back and look at his estimate.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. I read through it, and then it's like, oh, look at the overhead. That looks pretty big. I wonder when that was, and I just didn't find it in the few minutes before this meeting started. It's not super important.
I'll look through the Kansivi report, see if I can find it.
Thank you. I think it's kind of buried in all the character defining feature text. That's it. That was my only question.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Is there any other questions from any other commissioners? Laura, would you like to make any kind of presentation regarding your property?
Oh, I think that the report speaks for itself pretty well. We're pleased to have a historic property. Excited to know about the history and about Alvin's Stall. And we would like to maintain it as a historic house. I've read everything that are the requirements. We're happy to have the house shown as requested. We plan to maintain it. We have no plans. We have no interest in changing any aspect of how the house looks other than maintaining it as it is. We think it's a really nice historic property for the neighborhood.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Mike, this is Commissioner Collum. I just want to say to Laura that I enjoy going by your beautiful home every day. I think you've done a wonderful job of maintaining it so far from what I can see.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very good. Okay, is there any public comments on this particular property?
There are currently
Sounds like we have.
There are currently no public comments, but once again, I'll list that phone number. It is 831-582-6500. Please dial *5 to raise your hand. Thank you. Currently, still no public comments, but I will let you know if we receive it.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. We'll go ahead and close public comments for now. Any final commissioner comments or any motions for this particular property?
I have to say that I read the Kent CV report just now, and I found that there were 2 newer vinyl windows installed, but they were identified as installed on secondary elevations, not on the primary character defining elevation.
Okay.
Thank you, Fernanda. Okay.
Can we discuss first, or I can make a motion and then we can discuss? There are only 3 of us apparently.
Yeah, that's. I'll leave that to you. If you're prepared to make a motion, go ahead. If you'd like to discuss, go ahead.
Well, I'll make the motion and then I just have a couple of comments. I'll move that we accept the H2 historic zoning and Mills Act contract on 946 West Franklin.
I'll second it, Commissioner Collum.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept and a second. So we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote of the 3 of us.
Can I just, can I make a couple comments before we vote? And I am going to obviously going to vote for it, but this is one of those issues where we've got small bits and pieces like the windows and the addition and whatnot, but it's subjective how well it fits with all the seven things we're supposed to be looking at, and it certainly looks historic and seems to retain all the important bits of integrity, even with the vinyl windows and the now 2 additions in the back, which you can't even see. So yeah, I just wanted to say that there were a few hiccups there, but all in all, I think it meets the what the applicant wants. So I'm ready to vote.
Yes,
right,
me too.
Good.
All right, I can go ahead and take a roll call vote for that. So let's see, I have Chair Napoli.
I'll vote to approve.
And then Commissioner Cullum.
I vote to approve.
And Commissioner O'Neill.
Aye. Approval.
Thank you.
Thank you
All right,
very,
thank you,
very
Laura.
much. Thank you for your consideration. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you keeping that house as lovely as it is as a resource.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, definitely.
Very good. Okay, let's move on to item number 4. That is the consideration of 491 Webster Street. This is also another application for a Mills Act contract, MA 20-0191, and an H2 historic zoning, TM 20-0192. The property owners on 491 Webster Street are owners Gregory and Rebecca Beardsley. This fits a commercial general plan designation, PC-D-ES zoning district. It's also exempt from CEQA for Article 19, Section 15-305, Class 5. Okay.
And before we get started, I just want for the record, Commissioner Dawson, can you say affirmatively whether or not you've rejoined the meeting?
Yes, I have.
And Commissioner Barlow?
Yes, I have as well. Thank you.
Great. We currently have 5 commissioners to vote on this item. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Kim. Okay, staff, do we have a presentation on 491 Webster Street?
Yes, we do. Hi, Chair Napoli and Commissioners. This is Christy Sabdo, Associate Planner with the City of Monterey.
Hello, Chris.
Hi. Okay. Property owners Gregory and Rebecca Beardsley applied to rezone the property as a city historic resource and to enter into a Mills Act contract with the city. Staff recommends that the Historic Preservation Commission adopt a resolution recommending that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council adopt an ordinance to rezone the property as a city historic resource from PCDES to PCDES-H2. And recommending that the City Council approve a Mills Act contract for the property. The property is zoned PCDES, which is planned community. It's in the downtown specific plan area. The general plan land use designation is commercial. So an intensive survey was prepared by architectural historian Kent Seavey, and that report states that in 1939, the house was constructed as a 2-story wood frame Spanish colonial style residence. In 1953, there's a set of wooden French doors original to the home. They were replaced with aluminum sliding doors, and that's the south or front elevation. I'll show you pictures. In 1970, mostly the original one-to-one double hung wood windows were changed to aluminum windows. And at that time, most of the original wood window openings were retained on the side and rear elevations. In 2017, the staff approved an architectural review approval for an addition and alterations, and I will discuss that further as well. So on June 27th, 2017, staff approved an architectural review permit application for a 1st-story addition. You'll see here, this is the east elevation. And on the northwest corner, there was also an addition, and this is the front here on Webster. And then also a new addition, a 2-car garage and a 2nd-story living space above. In addition, exterior alterations were approved as part of that 2017 architectural review permit, which included, they added a simple tiled door hood over the French doors, showing pictures after this. The garage door on the bottom floor was replaced with French doors for office use. The existing aluminum windows were replaced with wood French doors for office use on the bottom floor. And the front patio space was expanded. And the existing non-historic aluminum windows were replaced with wood sash windows closer to the original one-to-one double hung wood windows. So here's a picture from approximately 2008, just showing you the home before the 2017 alterations and addition. So, and this is a picture of the new. So I'm going back to 2008. So in 1953, these aluminum sliders were added. There were originally wood French windows there, windows there. A wood garage door was there and has since been replaced. The clay tile pipes and roof drains are in these locations. There's a flat roof, has stepped parapets. And there is a arched entryway. Now I'm going to show you the front elevation. This is existing. And just to show you that, kind of to go back and forth between the two, you'll see there was a roof element here. This is now gone. And there is a new simple door hood. They returned these aluminum windows to the French wood doors, replaced the garage door with new wood French doors. They expanded the front patio area. And on the front elevation, you can see that part of the front and east addition. And then this is also the front addition. I'm showing, these are the existing elevations before this 2017 approval. So kind of similar to what I just showed you. And you can just kind of compare the differences here as I was showing you. So here is the east elevation. This is the area of the addition where the house was expanded in this location. This is also the east elevation, just showing you the location of that addition and the pitched roof, showing the differentiation between the original home and the addition. And here's the west elevation, where at the northwest corner, the addition is located with a different roof pitch as well. Kind of like the roof, the shed roof here is kind of carried over. And here is the west elevation again. And as you can see here, there's a recess in the wall showing the difference or the location of the original versus the addition. And this is the rear of the original house, where you can see this is what the rear looked like originally, and this down below is the 2017 approved addition, including a rear porch. And this is behind the house on the lot, the new second story, two-car garage and living space above. So the character defining features continue to include the irregular footprint, stucco wall cladding, stepped parapet is still existing, shed roof entry with mission tile and arched openings, flattened arched focal window on the facade, and wrought iron balcony and entry railings. The property is known as the Antonio, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce this right, Incaviglia house, and qualifies as a local historic resource based on California Register Criteria 3. It's eligible under Criterion 3, significant in the area of architecture as a good example of the Spanish colonial style, designed by noted master boat builder Frank Sino. Original owner was a Sicilian-born commercial fisherman and captain of the first Seiner fishing boat, Tommy Boy, from 1934 to 1973. The application is eligible for H2 designation. The applicant has provided a maintenance schedule required for a Mills Act contract. And staff recommends rezoning the property and approving a Mills Act contract. The applicant is on with Kent CV if you have any questions on this application.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments, staff? Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, hi. I did have a few comments. If you look at the house as it is now compared to the original photos on packet page 77, it really looks quite a bit different from the original. And Christy outlined the reasons. I mean, the simple tile door hood was placed over the new French doors and replaced the gable face bay. Garage door was replaced with French doors. The front patio space was expanded. And that lovely tile of the Virgin Mary is new. That was not part of the original home. And then also the addition, all of the additions. Because of that, I believe that it is not compatible with condition 9 of the Secretary of the Interior standards, excuse me, which state that the new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible. Let's see, it should be compatible with the massing, blah, blah, blah. But the new work, I think, looks very, very similar to the original, and I don't think there was an attempt made to differentiate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to see if during the presentation we can find out, expand a little bit more on the criteria regarding both the boat builder that built it and the occupant. I'll just say the maritime occupant and some of the significance of that history, because I think that may be the more compelling case for my fellow members. But just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's good, Chris.
Okay. Any other comments before I ask the applicant if they'd like to make a presentation? Okay,
I could
I'll
respond
go
to
ahead.
the second question.
I'm sorry?
I could respond to the second question.
Go ahead, Chris.
The appropriate time.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so just more information on criteria 3, that Frank Sino, the builder, was a native of Monterey, and he constructed many of the purse seiner fishing boats that made up the sardine fleet of Monterey. Later, he worked in the Tynan lumber yard and for another boat works at the Coast Guard Pier. 2 of the adjacent houses near the northwest corner of Webster and Figueroa were also constructed by Mr. Sino.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest I've included in my presentation. Kent Seavey is on the line as well, and he may have additional information.
Thank you, Kristen.
Sure.
All right. I'll go ahead and ask if Kent or the owner applicant would like to make a presentation regarding this property at this time.
So Jennifer, I believe Kent might be on the telephone. Do you have any calls waiting? And
Right
if not,
here. Can you hear us now?
we can, Kent. Please proceed.
Yes, we sure can.
You can? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear us?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Quick answer for Carol regarding the addition to the building envelope. That was a decision made with Christy Hopper and with the planning chief planner at that time, predicated on a section of the interior standards for rehabilitation. I quote, "An attached exterior addition to an historic building expands its outer limits to create a new profile. Because such expansion has the capability to radically change the historic appearance, an exterior addition should be considered only after it has been determined that the new use cannot be successfully met by altering non-character defining interior spaces. If the new use cannot be met in this way, then an attached exterior addition is usually an acceptable alternative. The issue with this house was staircases and closed rooms. It was simply a miniature interior. And this was very carefully discussed with planning staff, and the determination was to go with the existing shed roof on that section. We also required the chimney, which was a character-defining part of that building envelope, to be placed in its original location with the flanking windows that were also in the main envelope. As to the door, the window hood over the balcony, the balcony had to be removed, the original, because it was so rotted from rain damage over time. The windows were also rain damaged and leaked. So that hood, door hood, if you will, is there as a mechanical device to preclude the kind of infiltration of lowering damp that occurred originally.
Thank you, Ken.
Carol?
What about the fact that it doesn't look like it's differentiated from the original?
That was a question again with, as far as the tile piece that goes, I wasn't aware of. That was a decorative element that had to be either voted in by staff or approved by staff. Christy Hopper was very closely involved with this, as what was Todd and Elizabeth. So a lot of this stuff, after I got done with my work, was finalized on their part. So I can't give you that specific answer, but we were trying to keep the building so that the interior could be used and it could function. The office space down below in the garage made perfect sense and logic. What you don't see in the current photograph is the vegetation that existed in the original. That will screen the bow on the patio extension. So visually, that will change it considerably once they get their landscape plan in and it develops.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, the addition is stucco with a tile roof. I mean, it's very similar.
Well, it's stucco with tile roof. The roof shape is different, and it's stepped in a little bit. And it's also was on a secondary altered elevation. Yes, Carol.
Yeah. When this was redone, it was still considered potentially historic, even though it wasn't deemed historic. It was never taken off of the windshield survey list. So wouldn't it have had to go through the usual hoops for historic houses?
I think we did an EPR on it. And it also is in your context statement that the photographed element of an example of a Spanish colonial revival building.
Carol, I can answer that question. So,
okay.
Yes, it is on the reconnaissance survey. Because it's in the downtown specific plan, it's an administrative project, but they did submit a phase 2 historic assessment showing that the addition and the alterations are consistent with the Secretary of Interior standards. And we did include that phase 2 historic assessment in attachment 3, I think it is, just beyond the plans, the 2017 plans.
Yeah, okay. Because that's part of if people get off, so they don't have to do the historic compatibility. And Kent, maybe you could just go through again. We do this at the Lighthouse frequently, and we end up literally going forehead to forehead, some of us with the 4 rehabilitation, preservation, and I forget the other 2. So there are different standards and different ways of redoing historic structures. and they're very confusing in my mind.
Yeah, I'll quote for you what it says under the standards. New additions should be designed and constructed so that the character-defining features of the historic building are not radically altered or changed, obscure, damage, or destroy the process of rehabilitation. The standards recommend designing new additions in a manner which makes clear
Maybe
which
if we could have everybody Ken mute for a moment so we can hear him. Please mute your phones if you could, except for Ken. Thank you. Go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry. The idea of rehabilitation is to create a situation whereby you deal with contemporary standards when you consider the buildings, but you do not lose the historic character or the cultural character and identity of the building. So the rehabilitation allows you the option to make some changes to meet current living standards or conditions.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's one of 4 standards, and the city and the whoever makes these decisions can decide whether it's a preservation, which we do at the lighthouse because it's a museum, so we are doing preservation. But there are others: preservation, rehabilitation, restoration, and there's one other. Reconstruction. So I guess Annuity can eliminate that. Who decides which set of rules? They're all the historic, rules. So who decides which standard we go with?
By the time I came into this particular project, Christy Hopper had determined that the shed was on the side would be appropriate, the shed roof addition, because of the nature of the interior, and as did Elizabeth. Christy Hopper had a master's degree in preservation from the University of Savannah. And as to the rest of it, primarily we were looking at the building in terms of preserving the building envelope, or except for the additions, and that was the business at hand above the garage, to preclude the previous problems caused by the lowering dam. As to the addition to the rear, those were worked out with Hopper and Elizabeth based on square footage in excess of 50%, could be in excess of 50% of the building envelope. And so I wrote it up basically what I saw would not, extensively change the character of the building. And that's why I had the chimney retained originally as designed or as proposed by Hopper. That you want to take the chimney off, and I said, let's leave it there and use those windows on either side of it. So when you see it, it'll be something that's familiar with you.
So I just.
But city had a great deal to do with the additional building and the rear stuff.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is who decides if it's a rehabilitation rules.
Rehabilitation rules, because that's how they applied. Contemporary use, the interior allowed them to create an interior that human beings could live in.
Okay, so it followed the rehabilitation standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's stated in both of the phase 2 and the subsequent letters.
Okay. Carol, I think in terms of which ones are used, I think that starts with the goals of the property owner, what they're wanting to do with the property. So based on what they were wanting to do, the rehabilitation made sense in terms of the right ones.
Yeah, again, it goes, the standards are applied to specific rehabilitation projects in a reasonable manner, taking into consideration economic and technical feasibility. Standards encourage placing a new addition on non-character finding elevations and locating alterations and additions to the historic property in areas where previous changes had already exist. And that was basically the rear of the building. All the windows had been changed out. All the windows now are wood windows. They're 1/1 double hung, which they would have been before. So as much as possible, we brought the building back to its earlier configuration, given the changes that were necessary to meet modern living requirements.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Just a point of.
I just, go ahead, Carol.
Okay, just a point of clarification. Are you supposed to try to follow all of the Secretary of the Interior standards? Because
no, you choose a standard to work with. You use a particular standard to work with. Under restoration, you have to have either physical or photographic evidence of the exact building and take it to that location. Preservation, the building's in reasonably good shape. It just needs maintenance and repair. So you do all your work in kind. You replace anything you need to do in kind. You repair rather than replace. If you have to replace, you match the existing. Under reconstruction, you have to, again, have building plans, photographs, physical evidence of what the original building looked like, and then in a partial context of modern code, rebuild that shell or that burned out building or the damaged building as much as possible as you can to that original. But there is a separate approach. You don't mention that.
Okay, well, what I don't understand is why the new additions are not differentiated from the original, because it matches with the stucco and the tile roof. I mean, it's the same style, it's the same feel, and I thought that it was supposed to be differentiated so you could clearly tell what was added.
It probably could have gone in a couple of inches on the rear end. I wasn't there for the last aspect of it. Usually what you do in that, when you do an addition where you've got a stucco building, wood cladding is really differentiating. You're going to maintain the character of the building, so the stucco you use a different stucco surface or you painted a different color. What is it? The Rudolph building in PG, down by FedEx, the big 2-story on the corner. The way we did that was to use paint colors, because the addition to the rear was exactly like, it was 1-story, but exactly like the original building. So by the paint colors, we differentiate. And that would be a way to do this if the owners were inclined. A darker color.
When this this is Greg Beardsley, the owner. When we first met with planning with Christy Hopper and those, she mentioned differentiation. And that's when she had us do those indentations coming down where the new addition was started. So in other words, out in the front, we have, I don't know, a 6 by 4 foot setback that comes all the way up to the roof. And then on the side, we have an indentation where the old house ended that goes all the way up to the roof that adjoins the new addition. So at that time, she seemed okay with that. Actually, that was her idea, to do indentations. We could have done a painted a different shade or something like that, but at the time, she told us that would be adequate. So that's what we did.
Yeah, because I thought it needed to be more clearly differentiated, because it's to me, it looks very similar.
I think, Carol, it has to do a lot with what rehabilitation or preservation or restoration, which way they're going with that. And clearly the city went with the rehabilitation, and it was potentially historic. So I'm guessing all the planners and historians on that, it's a close call. to be honest, because it does look different to me, but it seems like they followed the rules.
Yeah, but at the very, sorry.
I was going to say, I know it depends on which set of rules, the rehabilitation or restoration or whatever, we end up quoting, and we're not always quoting from the same standards, or even in our mind, I think. That I mentioned, we end up doing this a lot at the lighthouse. And I have mixed emotions about this, but it seems that the city, the applicant went through the city process and had a lot of involvement there.
We were on site several times collectively, city staff and myself and the owner, talking about these issues, and consensus with the then senior planner and her fully qualified staff member, Christy. So we were comfortable at the end of the day.
I would be more comfortable if you would, at the very least, paint it a different color, because I still think that it should be differentiated in a more clear manner.
Is there any other comments from commissioners?
Oh, I just had one quick question while we got the experts on the phone there. I was curious, Mr. Seavey, do you know if the same builder, Frank Sino, that built this house, did he build the Tommy Boy boat that the first occupant owned as well?
I don't know if he built a Tommy Boy. I don't know what the date of Tommy Boy is. It'd be after 26, and it's, there were a couple of brothers up in Oregon and Washington that came up with the first seiner. And those hulls came here first in 25, 26. And then the Sinos, he and his brother worked at the Monterey Boat Works. In fact, they owned it, ran it the last. The last Anthony Boy was the last first seiner made, and that was all theirs. But yes, they worked on those vessels and designed them. I was quite surprised, frankly, when all three of these houses showed up under Frank's name. I didn't know he was a builder, and that was very interesting to follow through and discover he was a builder as well. And this hangs on the edge of your potential Pearl Historic District, which included Japanese and Sicilian population. So here you have the boat builders and the ship's captain adjacent to the Japanese portion of that community as well. So it falls, it could fall under cultural values, further cultural values, but we decided to go with C, and it certainly could go under, or we could add to the California Registry standards, the B or 2, which is association with Frank Sino and Intaglia.
Easy for you to say. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Actually, her name is Incaviglia. Incaviglia. And we used to own the house next door, and Anna used to live in this house. We owned the house right next door. We did a remodel of that in let's see, when was it? I think it was 98, 99. And Anna Incaviglia was a widow, and she still lived here in this house. So we knew her very well.
Oh, interesting.
Thank you. Okay, any other commissioner comments? Otherwise, I'll open it up to see if there's any public comments on this property. We know if we have anybody in the public on the call. Is there any comments on this property?
Hi, this is Jennifer. There are currently no public callers, but I will leave that number once again, just in case somebody wants to call in. That call-in number is 331-582-6500. please dial *5 to raise your hand. Thank you. There are still no public commenters.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, no public comments at this time, so any commissioner committee comments or any motions on 491 Webster Street?
I'll go ahead and, after you.
I was going to say, I have two emotions on this. They're definitely emotions. One is we have booted off the potentially historic list houses that have had similar changes, porches, roof lines, etc. But the flip side of that is the city was intimately involved in this potentially historic house when it was renovated. Mm-hmm. So I'm of two minds on this.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, Chris, you had a motion or a comment?
I think at this point I'll just make it a comment, but I think you guys will know where I'm going after this. I mean, to me, I think, and I don't mean this in any kind of pejorative way, but the house is pretty well worked over in terms of, successive remodels and that kind of thing. However, I do have experience, seeing this get work done because I dropped my daughter off near the school over there, and I've seen how much effort's been put into that remodel. And, I don't think this is sort of the case where somebody just, slapped on a new porch or something like that. It was a very deliberative process, whether or not we totally agree with the outcome. My thought is that I'm sure the owner has put in a lot of treasure and blood into this house. And so that helps me kind of make my decision on this. The other part of it is, and as you could tell, this is probably where my questions were leading. I just find it really interesting, this whole business with the local boat industry and how closely this is tied up with that. That even if I thought it were a poor example of a historic structure, which I don't, but even if I thought that, I think the association to me is strong enough that it would probably sway me towards approving this for Mills Act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
I'll be happy to make a motion if that is the time.
Carol, is this Carol O'Neill?
Yes, it's Carol O'Neill. I need to clear my other screen here to get the property name. I propose that we accept the recommendation for 491 Webster Street for H2 zoning and a Mills Act contract.
I'll second. Commissioner Barlow.
Carol, it looks like you have comments.
Yeah. Would you consider an amendment to require that the additions be painted a different color to be included in the Mills Act contract and to be approved by staff administratively?
Personally, I think it would detract from the look of the house. It would differentiate, but I'm not sure that was the total intent of the original rehabilitation standard to have it blend in. So if you want to do that, I don't want to add it to my recommendation, to my.
Okay, well then that would be a counter motion then, I guess.
So we now have a.
So we have a motion and a second that would need to be voted upon.
Okay.
And if it fails, then a new motion can be made.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, so we do have a motion by Carol O'Neill, and we have a second. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote, please.
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that roll call. Let me just pull up my screen here. All right, Chair Napoli,
I'll vote to approve.
Vice Chair Cullum,
I approve.
Commissioner Barlow,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson,
No.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Aye.
and then did I see Geraldine pop on the call? It looks like she's showing up.
She is. I think she's muted right now, and I think I heard her microphone working before.
Okay. Geraldine, are you in
somebody-
on the call?
We got 3.
No, you got 4.
We got 4.
Geraldine, it might be muted on your end.
And if it's 4, it only needs 3.
Geraldine, are you there?
She was the only no.
So since we can't hear Geraldine, the motion passes 3-1.
Just do this.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Take it down.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ken, and thank you, Greg.
Okay.
You might do it just out of goodness of your heart.
We'll go ahead and move on. Looks like that's the end of the items that we have. Is there any informational reports or staff comments this time?
Thank you, Chair Napoli. This is Kim Cole. I do want to let you know that the city is moving to a new meeting format. It'll be Zoom Gov. So we will be contacting all of you to help you upload the system and participate in our next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
Will
All
that
right.
be similar to regular Zoom? Will it run
It's
the
very
same?
similar.
Okay, good.
The council used it on Tuesday and it was wonderful.
I prefer this platform.
I may suggest that we possibly have a test call for those that are not familiar with it prior to the next meeting. Maybe the day of for a few minutes. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Mike.
Yeah, I have not personally used that format. Okay. Any other planning office updates?
None.
Okay. Very good. Then any final commissioner committee comments? Dean, Carol, awesome.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to let you know that Geraldine and I are working on a project to help the city update the Mills Act historic list. I took the historic master list that the city has done, and there are 124 properties that are Mills Act properties, and Geraldine and I are going to split them up and be sure that each one has a date on it, because they don't have the Mills Act approval date on there. So we're going to do that, and then we will do some research on iSearch and add the Mills Act properties that have been approved since the last update of the list. And if anybody else would like to help us in this effort, we would welcome you.
Hey, thank you very much, Carol.
Yeah, bless you for doing that. I'll try to see if I can clear up some bandwidth. I'm not sure I've got it yet, but it's a good effort.
Uh-huh.
I have a question. Who approves they're all supposed to have plaques, and I should have asked this with that last property, but it would be interesting to have the CNO boat builder information on that. Does the city help the homeowner through that process, or did they just take whatever's given? Just wondering.
So this is Kim. The historian is asked to write the language of the plaque for approval by staff.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any further comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
All right, nice to see you all.
Thank you,
Have a
Mike.
good night.
Yeah.
Take care.